Hello, Internet! This is Fanfiction Contempt Theater
Double
9002,
sneaky.
episode 89. I think 90. Shit, I think it's 90. Just gonna low key change that.
Just check last week's.
Just gonna low. Oh, I didn't change it, so it's definitely not 89.
Oh, okay. Well, cause the thing says 90, so
Yeah, I just changed it. So.
ah,
Anyway, we don't have Max tonight, so it's just gonna be
cause
me
Max
and
is out partying and doing what was
drugs.
it? Was it cocaine or
Oh,
heroin?
lots of crack. He's doing lots of crack cocaine.
You see, guys, this is a little known fact about Max.
Yeah.
Little known because he tries to hide it from the
Yep.
government and the federal police.
The IRS.
He is in fact
Yep.
a kingpin of crime.
Yep. Can confirm. 100% truthful statement.
Really, the things he's done, chilling.
Absolutely chilling. Anyway, let us get started. So, last time we had some fucking Ruby and Overlord. But I'm really feeling. If we could have Orpheus get on here, I could do some really painful Ruby Naruto crosses. Because I always love torturing an author when they come on by reading shit from their main genres.
Look at what you're competing with.
Look how much more popular they are than you. Anyway, but since he's not here, I think we should just go with a solid, classic. What the fuck?
You okay there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm just really curious as to why this has a date and time attached to the bookmark. That's really weird. Oh.
Possibly because you wanted to remember that date and time?
No, I don't think so. So, this is the story we're gonna read because it is. I regret doing this already. Okay, the Black Swordsman to protect those he loves. Of course, you can always find the links to the stories we're reading in the Discord down below. Oh, Arn is here tonight. Yeah. A good old what the fuck. Yeah, let me just pan over so everyone can see the cringe that I have unveiled, unearthed, and found. I know it's not conventional, but since today's my birthday, would you mind doing the story I put in the server? Well, see, I have a personal opinion on birthdays called, congratulations, you're one day closer to dying.
Stinky is not a pleasant individual.
I don't celebrate birthdays. I think they're facile and pathetic. I particularly don't see the importance of someone being born. Congratulations, you've done a basic fact of life. Truly, it is immensely impressive that at a country with a 99% infinite not mortality rate, that you managed to live through and be born.
Infant survival rate.
Yeah, let's go with that. Open the fucking curtains. Bro, my
No,
curtains...
no. That was posted at 6:04. We have a delay.
It's 05 right now. I'm just going... I'm answering that. Okay. Bro, my curtains are actually open. I opened them in the morning and just never closed them because I went to work because I have a job. It's not a good job, but it's a job. Anyway, we're probably going to accelerate through this, and then we'll hit up a Harry Potter story to wash our mouths of the crap.
I have bad news for you.
Oh, what's the bad news?
I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh, that's a decent bet. That's a decent bet, actually.
Yeah. I wouldn't ask you to put money on it because you generally don't take sucker bets.
No, I don't. Anyway, so this is a Naruto Sword Art Online crossover, and I know I ranted a little bit about this last time around, but this section is just such pure fucking cringe that I can't help but come back to it. So this is the Black Swordsman to protect those he loves. He was an orphan. He knew nothing of his origins. But he found a family. He found something to fight for. Destiny played against him, but he would fight for them no matter what, even if it cost him his life. Kirito has a harem. I mean, this is canon. I don't know why this is worth mentioning, but here's the harem.
Well, no, to be fair, he never... he does technically have a harem, but it's not really because he literally only ever goes for Asuna.
It's literally it's the classic anime harem where it's a bunch of girls who like the guy, and the guy either likes all of them a little bit but never goes anywhere with it, or he likes one of them specifically. And Sword Art Online
just kind of twists sadly in the wind.
Yeah, and Sword Art Online is actually impressive in this one little bit where it broke the trope a tiny tad and actually had Kirito enter into a meaningful romantic relationship built off shared trauma. It's actually shocking when you think about it.
Like, what? They did something normal? Weird.
Yeah, I know, right? Alright, so the harem is Kirito times Asuna, Lifa, Sinan, Sugihua, Hikari, and female Naruto.
Just remember, one of those is related to him.
Yes.
That was, like, out of all the weird stuff that SAO ever did, apart from the whole eyeball licking thing.
That was weird, yes.
Probably the weirdest one was where it's like, oh, I'm in love with my brother. It's like, Japan,
that's not SAO, that is Japan. That was a fad for a time in Japan, and a lot of these stories are coming out about ciscon, brocon sort of shit. And it was just really like... and it was always like, oh my god, I'm in love with my brother. Oh, what? We're adopted or first, second cousins. Oh, that makes it okay. I can stop feeling guilty about it now. It's like...
now I can put my dick in them, and or have them put their dick in me.
In fact, the fact that there's only one incest relationship in SAO is a fucking miracle. That's a interesting take, Arn, but, you know what? I'll accept it.
Well, here's the thing. I did appreciate that they eventually reached a point in the story where she's like, you know what? This is wrong. I should just not.
I do have to say, though, I do love Saint Infernal Neos's, Sal the Eroge take on it. That was pretty funny.
Which was...
Where Kirito is just like... getting reputation points with her, and he's like, no, please, no.
You're gonna have to, like...
Because, so, Sal the Eroge is a Saint Infernal Neos shitpost story in which Kirito wakes up one day before the events of SAO start with a tiny little notification saying that he's the gamer now of a dating sim.
See, that sounds like something I want to read.
It's a Saint Infernal Neo story, so it's automatically going to be hilarious.
See, look, I don't know who that is, so saying the name doesn't tell me anything.
He's the guy who wrote One Punch Gamer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He basically every April 1st he'll come up with a shitpost story, and if people like it enough, he'll keep writing chapters for it.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so that's a thing that exists, and it's actually a highly amusing story because, like, sometimes he'll meet girls and he'll just be like, "Oh, thank God they don't have a relationship meter," which means he can't date them.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes he'll meet girls and it'll be like, "I pat her on the back, plus 20 relationship gain." He's like, "Fucking why?"
I didn't do anything.
Anyway, so
What's the name of that story?
uh,
Go read it.
Sao the Eroge.
Sao the Airship. Got it.
Yeah. Hello! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! As I promised in my other stories.
Question mark italicized.
Yeah. As I promised in my other stories, here is the Sao Naruto fic I promised. A disclaimer: I don't own Naruto. Wow, no fucking shit, Sherlock. But I looked through the archives of Sao Naruto fics, and I was just like, wow, what if instead of Naruto entering the Sao world, it was the other way around? The Kirito ends up...
Okay, so we're putting Kirito into
Naruto verse, yes.
that. I can't help but feel that this will end poorly, namely because he is a normal human being.
See, the problem is that, yeah, as you said, he's a normal human being, but the problem is gonna arrive at is the author is going to make all of the main cast of Sword Art Online into ninjas. And it's going to suck shit because A, it's not the main cast anymore, but he's going to make them all act like their characters, and they're all probably going to have the same equipment as their characters, and they're just going to use ninja moves instead. And it's just going to be cringy because it's like... You know that meme? Hey, can I borrow your... Can you give me the answers?
Can I borrow
to
your
the...
homework? Sure,
Yeah,
just make it look different.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally that. It's literally just going to be Sal, but I bought the Cowboy DLC cosmetic. You know?
I mean, Ninja DLC cosmetic, but yes.
Damn it.
No.
Now I just have fucking Project Mouthwash, sorry, something Witty's Kirito doing a cowboy Midwestern accent.
Just wearing a stupid hat. And then when people ask him to stop, fuck you, I bought this hat. Well, it's essentially the charisma hat joke.
Yes. Anyway, blah, blah. So yeah, just a warning guys. This story shall contain bashing. There will be a civilian council, and I will be bashing it. And there will be a harem.
I'm going to bash something that doesn't... Here's the thing, right? Someday I want to encounter an author who's smart enough to say, I'm going to bash the idea of a civilian council by not including it in the fucking slightest.
I'm going to bash the idea of a civilian council by telling everyone that it's a shit idea in the author's note and just never paying attention to it again. It will be a harem with Asuna, Sugahua, Sinon, Fem Naruto. Only these 4 and no more additions. So if you don't like this harem, leave now. Meaningless flames will be ignored and removed. You have been warned. I bought cola liquor.
Right? I have
it
no
doesn't
problem
taste
with
like
people
cola.
going,
It tastes
I
like
will remove
thumbtacks.
flames. Because every once in a while, you get people who write stories where
I
for
mean, no,
whatever
yeah,
reason something they've
I get it. It's like someone spamming some shit like "kill yourself" or "retard," and it's like, okay, yeah, I'm just
or
gonna.
even just your story sucks. You like they don't offer
Even
anything.
my
Well,
shit posty level of stuff of just like, the story's fucking awful, stop writing it. And it's like, yeah, I get that you don't want to see this shit, but it's there is a certain level of, this is a completely unjustified harassment comment. I mean, like, genuine harassment. Like, I have seen it before. Like, on every single chapter, someone with a guest account goes, "Kill yourself, retard," and it's just like, dude, really, like, really.
like, do you not have anything? First of all, if you actually make someone like, first of all, that kind of stuff can actually get people to kill themselves, which unless they're like some kind of
I'm not gonna
like
say my hot take on that, but you know what
no, no,
my
no, no, no,
opinion
no.
on that is. I'm not gonna say it, but you know what it is.
I do. I'm just saying, it's not a good thing, right? Like,
I'm not saying it, Ard. I'm not saying it.
he's smarter than that, at least in public.
Anyway, yeah, it's just so lowbrow. It really, it's like that one guy that I banned from the Twitch chat. The only guy that I've ever banned from my Twitch
Yeah,
chat.
because he shit posted, and that
He
wasn't
just
the
came
problem.
in and was just like, Nazi, 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 hail Hitler, and it's just like, that's
Yeah, and
just
it's like,
so,
all right, listen,
it's
you're
so
getting banned, not
low
because we
effort.
dislike what you said. We really couldn't care less. You're getting banned because it was so incredibly lowbrow. Like,
Did you ring for me?
if you're
And,
gonna shit post, do it correctly.
no, I didn't ban you, Arn. Some guy came in and was just like, you know that guy on Jorp's server who just constantly just makes really like low effort black jokes.
I would say, see, there's a joke in there in and of itself, but that would be the height of low effort.
Well, no, because their unemployment rate's down. Atin wants to strangle me now.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Sneaky?
Nothing, nothing. Anyway, a young boy with black hair laid on the grass under the tree.
Also, just one more side note, because I know we've talked about it before, but like, look, even if you take the SAO, even if you're not just like directly inserting them, if you take the SAO characters and put them in, guess what? That won't go well because they're normal people who don't have magic chakra.
Unless you change them completely so they do have magic chakra and they have completely different backstories, except the backstories are the exact same. Even though that doesn't make any sense. Also, personally, the civilian council idea, I think, is a sensible sort of thing if you're running a military dictatorship and you're like, okay, merchants, you guys fucking figure out your merchant shit, and I'm just gonna, like, look at your paperwork that you submit to make sure all your shit's on level. And maybe occasionally I'll come in and purge you all.
Occasionally I'll come in. I mean, okay, so it's the Warhammer 40k model of governance. We'll check your paperwork every 10,000 years. Every 20,000, whoever's in charge will be killed and replaced.
Whenever we don't like your paperwork, we randomly select one of you to be executed. Anyway, he wore a simple shirt and shorts, as opposed to a complex shirt and shorts. Every day we're in the orphanage, let the children
be fair,
out to
Sneaky,
play.
he could also have been wearing one of those stupid, like, BDSM mesh shirts. You remember the kid that was always walking around with that stupid mesh shirt at Champlain? No matter what the weather was, he was wearing his stupid mesh shirt.
Yes. Yes.
And it's like, dude, I can see your fucking beer belly and nipples. I'd
Yes.
really rather not.
Yes. Yep. Anyway.
Well, the things you encounter at college.
Indeed. And they let the children out to play. The young boy would always lay down under the tree and look at the sky. No one ever questioned it. They just left him there.
I mean, there's no reason
Hey,
to question it.
it's an orphan who's just looking at the sky. Why would you be like, man, why does that orphan look at the sky?
But it doesn't even matter that he's an orphan.
Kakarot, tell me, why is that orphan looking at the sky?
But, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't even matter. It's like a child staring off at the sun.
Child
Alright, whatever.
stares in the sun. Attains enlightenment. No one ever bothered to talk to him. Even the caretakers didn't talk to him, and barely helped him with education and food. The boy had only willingly talked.
Again, what is this like? Okay.
I mean, no, I
people-
can get the whole negligent caretaker thing, sort of, but again, it's like, it's fucking Konoha. It's like, they're basically Ninja Sweden.
Even if this isn't Konoha, like, if this is just, like, America, or Japan, right, like,
Well,
they don't just have, like, horribly defunct social services. Like, if you've ever been to an actual orphanage in America, guess what? The kids there are doing fine. They may not be thrilled. They may not always have the nicest stuff or the newest stuff. But they get 3 meals a day. They have an education. Like, this whole orphan abandonment thing doesn't exist, guys. Really doesn't.
It's a Hollywood trope, to be honest.
Alright, so how bad is the story so far?
Vegeta, what does his scouter say about his depression level?
It's higher than yours.
Oh, good, Orf is here.
I have been here for like the last 15
Yeah, you just
Oh.
haven't listened to him.
No, I just haven't heard a single thing he said.
I've only said like 2 things.
Anyway, enough about Orf. Back to this garbage. The boy had only ever willingly talked to the caretakers to ask how he ended up at the orphanage. Well, when a mommy and a daddy have a baby and they were like, wow, let's yeet this kid, that's how you ended up at the orphanage. They told him he was found in a basket with the word Kirito written on it. His name, Kirito. Kirito accepted this as an answer and went back to bed. The boy didn't care. He was just curious. Now, the 5-year-old boy laid there watching the cloud. He didn't envy the other kids with their friends. He didn't envy that they could play because he didn't feel like it. But that all changed one day. The boy laid on his usual spot. A voice broke him from his thoughts. Hey, why are you alone? Oh, it's all the girls, and they're all fucking orphans. I'm Asuna, I'm Sinan, I'm Sugahua.
Blah, 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 blah. We're
And
the orphan tree.
then at age 5, Kirito and the 3 girls became inseparable. And then they found Naruko. And they all decided to be the best friends ever. And they all played together a bunch of times. And, blah, blah, blah. Really, really intellectual dialogue. You two should no longer play with such a creature such as her. Oh, why should we not play with her? She is perfectly fine. Oh, well, you see, she has a hidden dark secret that we are not allowed to speak about, so you must not play with her anymore. No, she is our friend. We shall be friends together forever. Yes, this is what I expect a 5-year-old to have as a fucking argument when he has the social capacity of a fucking caterpillar.
I mean, I do actually expect them to just be like, no, they're my friend. Why should I do anything?
Yeah, I expect yeet off, okay, boomer, but it's like, no, we shall not abandon her in her time of need. It's like, it's not what a 5-year-old would fucking say.
Yeah. The 5-year-old would be like, but they're my friend.
I want to be Hokage, I want to be a Kunoichi, 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 I want to be a ninja. Wow, we all want to be ninjas. This is great. We should all be ninjas together.
Hey, could some of you, like, aim higher? Like, some kid's just like, I want to be the president. Everybody else is like, I want to be a murderer.
I want to be a paid mercenary. So
like that is one thing that we never talked about, how just unholy and creepy that is. It's like, what do you want to be when you grow up, kids? I want to be a paid state murder host.
Anyway, so then the caretaker comes up to them and goes, "You should have heeded my warning, demon lovers. Begone, foul demon. You can live alone outside in the streets now." You should have asked yourself that when you destroyed our village, demon. Now be gone. And so all the kids are super fucking confused. and Naruko is just like, yo, sorry I got us all kicked out. And the kids are like, nah.
Wait, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
How are you... whoever runs this orphanage, how you going to explain that away, right?
Yeah, Hokage, sorry, man. I only just fucking abandoned our nuclear bomb to the streets.
No, not even that. Like, I imagine there's some kind of, like, monthly check on the kids, right? Like, if not monthly, like, weekly, pop in, see how the kids are doing. Anybody need, do you need anything? Food, meds, school books, fresh pair of underwear. Like, what do you need for these kids, right?
Child catapult.
At what point, when that comes in and it goes, hey, so I'm doing the rounds. Yeah, you're like 7 kids short.
And anyway, so they're all huddled in this tiny little hut they just found or whatever in the playground. And it's raining heavily out, and so everyone's cold and shit. And then all the girls just synchronized turn towards Kirito, and Kirito is like, I shall protect these girls with my life. They will never cry again. And then all of these girls loved them.
Boy, have I got bad news for you, Kirito.
And then the Anbu showed up, and he was kidnapped by the CIA. And then the Hokage is like, yo, Kirito, I have kidnapped you and your friends. I have given you all apartments, and it is time for you to play 20 questions. If you answer a single question wrong, I will stab you. I'm just kidding, he didn't say that last part.
I was gonna say,
but he is playing 20 questions. That is happening.
Story.
Yeah, riveting story. And then...
truly, I am enraptured. Almost enough to stop playing Battletech.
The Hokage then goes, you cannot be in the orphanage. They will kick you out now. I will fire the caretaker and get a new one, but you 5 will stay here. The village will give you money and will pay your rent, but once you're adults, you must pay for yourself. Kirito.
Alright, you know what? All things considered, this is less ridiculous than some of the things.
Yes. Kirito, I know you want to protect those 4 girls, but what will you do? Well, I shall be a ninja and protect them. Good.
Like,
you are
I
6 now.
The thing I like the most is I'm going to fire the caretaker.
I like this part the most, though, actually. Good. You are all 6 now. Like, the Hokage just proclaims them a year older. Like they were 5 a couple paragraphs ago.
Listen,
and then Hokage just shows up. He's like,
we're operating
you
on
are
the Sims rules. He just gave all of them a birthday cake.
I thought we were operating on more like worm lung rules. You are Asian now. You are 6 now. Why am I this now? Oh, because I said so. Alright, so they actually got the proper Englishized word for a Japanese phrase. I don't know how to feel about this. I at least appreciate that they're only sticking to the Japanese, like honorifics and shit inside dialogue. And outside dialogue, it's just flat Hiruzen, Hokage, Kirito. It's not Kirito-kun in the narrative.
Well, guess what? That's how it actually works.
Yeah. Kirito, blah blah blah, Anbu, Necro, look after them, Weasel, go kill the caretaker, and then Weasel nodded and went to go kill the caretaker.
Honestly, that most sensible thing that's happened so far.
Very reasonable response.
Well,
I mean, he is the military dictator.
Well, more specifically, he's the military dictator who just had someone abandon a nuclear bomb in the street.
Anyway, so Kirito found all the girls, and they're all sleeping peacefully in their apartments, and Kirito redoubled his vow to protect them all. So, this wasn't as dumb as I thought it would be. However, it is still importing Sao characters into Naruto-verse with completely different backstories, completely different personalities, because growing up in a sheltered home, alone, with several traumas, causing you to have multiple complexes, is going to develop a massively different personality from growing up in a loving family where you're all working together all the time.
Even if you're all orphans. Not to mention, Sinon? Yeah, Sinon's gonna be a completely different character.
Yeah, like, so is
Because guess what? She can't be afraid of a gun anymore.
Yeah, so is Asuna, so is Sugahua, because, again, a major part...
No, is the only one you could kind
No, because keep in mind, both Kirito and Sugahua had major character development divergence due to the grandfather teaching them swordsmanship.
I mean, I'm not saying you aren't wrong, but, like, you can at least keep the, I want to, I'm in love with my brother thing.
Well,
like,
yes, but then it's not actually I'm in love with my brother, because at this point they're all just orphans. You want too many U's, Sneak Out? Well, fuck Sugahua. I'm gonna pronounce her name however the fuck I feel like.
Sugahawa.
Anyway.
Just butcher it.
Sugachawa? But anyway, my point being is that Chungus Wungus here, the author, in case this wasn't clear, Chungus Wungus, he is attempting to do a crossover that doesn't exist, because these aren't the characters you're looking for. This is just a Naruto story. It's just a Naruto-verse story with some cosmetical characters from another series. It's not like... How to put this? It's not like some of the attempts at crossovers I've seen before with Sword Art Online, where it's like Dungeons Online, where it's a crossover with Is It Wrong to Pick Up a Girl in a Dungeon? Mm-hmm. And instead of SAO being the game that was created, it was Dungeons Online, and you're actually in the crossover part is the fact that it's taking place in Aurario as the game. Mm-hmm. I've seen a Warhammer 40k one. That was actually pretty good. Victory or Death. Definitely look that up. That was dope. It's dead as hell now. but it was dope when it was going.
What is that? Was that one about? Like,
That's a 40K Sal crossover.
I'm sorry. How?
Where instead of SAO being released, it was Warhammer Online.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that would
And to make it worse, Chaos was a playable faction. So was Orcs. And Tau. And Eldar. And Dark Eldar.
So how deep did the rabbit hole go? As it were?
Before the story died, a lot of the players were adopting the mentalities of the factions they had been part of.
That is bad.
Yes. Especially when some of the Inquisitors were leading guilds.
More like
I don't need-
eating guilds.
What?
I said more like eating guilds. Let's be real here.
Okay, to be clear, the battles got real casualties were high on the player's side. Let's put it at that.
Of course they were.
No, honestly, it was actually a fairly well-written story, all things considered, and I was really sad to see it die. But honestly, that was the only direction it was going to go. Unfortunately, these sort of stories, where Dungeons Online and Warhammer Online, while they make for interesting crossovers and you can have some interesting original content in it, and it'll be interesting for a while. Warhammer, for example. That's not a fight you're going to win, and I don't mean in terms of in the narrative. I mean in terms of writing it, because you basically have to solve the big question.
Well, here's the thing. That's the only one that the only thing that would be possible would be like, because they're all technically real people, they could all technically work together.
Well, no, so the problem is that with the Warhammer one, and I mean in terms of writing it, is the sheer amount of content involved with Warhammer.
Oh god, yeah.
How would you go about writing all of that? You don't. That's what I'm saying, is you are going to lose that fight when you try and write a Warhammer crossover of that magnitude. Because it wasn't like, oh, it's just taking place on a single planet. No, it was taking place across the entirety of the galaxy.
Well, and trying to juggle the... I'm trying to think. Like,
Thankfully,
trying to juggle what every important character is doing...
Okay, yeah, but no,
impossible.
this is what I said. This is why the author actually worked quite well on, is it mostly follows a single character who started off as an Inquisitor cadet and, eventually became an Inquisitor and et cetera, et cetera. But it's following a specific cast of the Inquisition side. And then they did that correct, because trying to, this is something that Zarland does often, is he tries to add a lot of characters in, and then it fizzles the story out, because now you have to add what this character's doing, and what that character is doing, and what this character's doing, and that character, and that character, and that character, and that character. And it turns out, yeah, you just added 20k words to the story, but you've only progressed the plot by a day of a multi-year event.
Cast bloat is an enormous issue for the site in general.
Yes. Yeah, it is. But again, that actually comes down to more the fandoms themselves. Like, you have, yes, one guy coming up with the concepts for, Naruto and Bleach, and maybe they have the final say, but they have a writer team.
Oh yeah, they have a team.
These animes, they have teams of writers. These, yes, the original story, the light novel or the web novel, or yes, originally did come out from a single person. but there's now teams working to translate that into an anime format and a manga format. And
well, and even just taking, even just going from even just taking a light novel
yeah,
from Japanese to English, it's not one person doing that.
yeah. Well, the web, like I said, the web novel usually is, but we all know how shit the web novel versions are.
Well, I think it's more than that because of the way that manga culture is, especially with a company like Jump.
Hmm.
Your livelihood depends on how well you characterize things in your manga, and
Right.
if you have, I think it's like 2 or 3 bad weeks,
Yeah.
you're cut, and you have to start all over with something new. So
Yeah.
with fan fiction, you don't have that. Your livelihood isn't on the
There's no
line.
Shark
So,
Tanking it. Yeah. No, and
so
I
they
understand
just
that,
do
but
whatever they want.
my point, well, but what I'm saying though is the problem with when it comes to cast bloat is that there's these fandoms. Game of Thrones, another good example of this, is there's these fandoms where it's not a single writer writing for this fandom for the canon. And that makes it manageable. It's like, yeah, we can have all of these cast of characters because we have different people managing different parts of it. But when a single person tries to sit down and write a fan fiction of it, not only are they not the original creators of those characters, so they don't know them as well as, say, the creator does, but also at the same time, they are a single person trying to juggle all of their favorite characters and all the cast they wanted to include, and trying to come up with some fucking whatever plot they were shitting out on that day. And it's like, yeah, no shit, character bloat occurs because it's one person trying to do multiple people's jobs while simultaneously having no professional experience doing so. And I'm not going to say, oh, fanfiction authors just shouldn't do so many characters. Because, again, this is actually a moment where it's like, yeah, it's fan fiction. You're a fan of the series, so you want to write about the series. So you're going to include all your favorite characters of the series that you're a fan of. It's like, okay, I can't really come down on you for that. I can't come down on you for the high school AUs. I can come down on you for the completely ridiculous shit that you might come out with. Like, oh, it's a Sam times Dean supernatural fic. It's like, no. No.
Just no.
Even with the canon, teams can still have major problems with managing large casts. Yeah, actually, again, very common. This is actually a problem that Naruto had. Is early on during the Wave arc, each character actually was a more fully developed character, I guess you could say. They had Naruto coming up with these wild trick plans with the assistance of Sasuke, who was putting aside his dislike for Naruto during the heat of the battle because it's part of their mission and they have to work together because they're on a team. And it was no pointless shonen drama of they didn't need to give each other a big speech so they could work out their differences while they're fighting the bad guy. They were just like, Sasuke, I have an idea. And Sasuke was like, lay it on me, Naruto. Let's fuck this guy up.
Throw me.
And, and they do the whole fucking shadow inside of a shadow shuriken thing. And then, what happens after that? They never did anything clever like that again, because Shikamaru had to be the clever one. And if all the other characters were doing clever things as they would as being actual ninjas who were not dead, well, that detracts from Shikamaru's sole characterization because there's only so much screen time to use, and, you need defining traits for each character. Which Shikamaru's happen to be being clever. So, all the other characters couldn't be clever anymore. And characters can never be more clever than the writers. Yeah. Yep. You can't be more intelligent than the writers, and they can't be more clever than the writers. It's why I have such a tough time when I'm confronting characters being written in fan fiction. Because, like, on one hand, I want to believe the author isn't this dumb, and they're, like, doing this ironically. Like, they're making this character stupid on purpose. But on the other hand, they're probably just that dumb and they don't realize. But that is neither here nor there. Let us move on to some Harry Potter. And or some Naruto and Ruby. Let us see what we find first. So, I suppose we already did a Naruto story. So, maybe a Harry Potter Overlord story? What we looking at? Well, we're looking at maybe a Harry Potter Overlord story. Maybe,
We're looking at sadness, is what we're looking at.
Yeah, sadness. Lots of sadness is going to be involved in this. Maybe, Fallout? Possible.
Fallout just... I'm just not a fan of Fallout fanfiction, because...
No, it's usually really
they,
just bad.
they always try to, like, characterize a character who is, by default, non-characterized.
Well, no, like I've read some good Fallout stories where with a very like well fleshed out and personalitied Courier 6. Dead World is a good one. It's a prototype Fallout crossover. Very, very well done story. Very personalized, very fleshed out Courier 6. The problem, I think, that you are having is the character, quote unquote, they try making for Courier 6 is just the standard completionist. Kill everyone, do everything, collect all the things.
No, it's not even that. It's my issue. It doesn't matter whether it's the Courier or the Sole Survivor or whoever. These are characters that are inherently characterless because you are supposed to self-insert.
Yes. You would think you'd be able to write a character from them then.
You would think, but these people don't. They keep it as a self-insert.
Well, I mean, you...
With almost no personality.
Yeah. Yeah. How about this? Yes. This seems suitably shit. So this is a Fate Stay Night Star Wars crossover.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh boy.
Oh shit. That's not what I wanted to do. Did I put okay, I did not put this into the covered fic section. I was sitting there, I was like, want to make sure I mark that one down. I have a suggestion of what you should read on Discord. The King Kong 2, The Good, the Bad, and the Kong.
Tell you what, maybe after we're done with this story.
I feel like I was
Also, by the way, happy birthday, Potato.
It's Potato's birthday?
No, wait, that wasn't Potato's birthday.
No, that was someone else who was trying to get us to read their story. So there's this person on our Discord who is very infatuated with Phineas and Ferb. And they keep bringing up their Phineas and Ferb fanfic, and we're all just like, look, we don't...
Look, A, we don't care. B, I don't know anything about Phineas and Ferb, right?
And then they came on here and they were like, "Oh, it's my birthday. You should read my fic." And it's just like, yeah, that just speaks of manipulation. So now
that's
I'm
not something we do. Ever.
I mean, if like Arn came on and was like, "Yo, it's my birthday. You should read this fic," I would probably do it because I've known Arn for
2 years.
Fuck, 3 years? Shit.
A significant period of time.
No, I joined in 2016, didn't I? November 2016, I think. Or August 2016. Didn't open till 2017? Oh, okay. So 2 years. But that's 2 years is still a significant period of time.
Oh yeah.
Also, another funny fact is in terms of my life being weird, right? Is I actually could have interacted with these people on the SDM server over 6 years ago. Back when they were on the forums of fanfiction.net, because that's where that group originally started. And I was going to make a post on the forums and start interacting with them, but the top post, actually at the time, happened to be a roleplay they were all doing, which Moth had just posted for, and I had looked at it and said, wow, Jesus fucking Christ, that is some edgy ass trash. I think I'm gonna pass on this form. And then in 2017, a Russian invited me to their server.
Do we know that Russian's name?
Yeah, Zeeks.
Ah. Say,
It's
look,
just-
we know a couple of Russians.
And this is just the normal course of my life. Like, one of my roommates in college was someone I had previously met in a different part of the country for a summer camp I only went to once.
Of course you did.
And it's just like,
I mean,
How
I can't
the
say
fuck?
much because one of the people who was in my dorm. Not only were they from Chicago, they're like within a 30-minute drive of my house. I found this out because I ran into them on a winter break at a movie theater.
Nice.
I'm looking over there and I was like, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, is that X person? I was like, I know X person is from, the Chicago, Illinois area, but there's no way it's X person. So I say X person's name. And their head turns around and I was like, still a chance it's a coincidence, but much smaller. And they're like, oh, hi, it's my name.
Yeah, it's my life has been a series of really weird coincidences where, like, I'll meet someone and they'll be like, oh yeah, we met like 8 years ago actually at this one event you went to, and we hung out for like a couple minutes before you walked off. And it's just like, what the fuck? We're like literally on the opposite side of the country from that event. How? This is why I feel like I'm in some fucking anime sometimes, because the cast always ends up meeting together again, regardless of the impossibility of that. Like, oh yeah, she's fucking off in a different country doing a modeling tour, and he's off in college, and he's now working, in the sewers or some shit, but they all somehow happen to run into each other at the coffee shop. It's like, that's what I feel like my life is sometimes.
So you're saying that you're telling me your life is a coffee shop AU?
I mean, my sister's life is literally a coffee shop AU now, so yes.
To be fair, that involves several very poor life choices and a lot of dick sucking to get where she is today. Tell me I'm wrong.
You are.
Are you saying that Sneaky also hasn't made a series of poor life choices?
Oh no, I too have made a series of poor life choices,
The
and
difference is he's not pretty enough to offer blowjobs to get ahead.
they've all resulted in me still being alive, which is the most unfortunate aspect of those life choices. And with that being said, we're just going to keep chugging through. Star Wars Fate's Day Night crossover. The Blades of Light and Darkness.
Also, just to say, I hate when fate crossovers are like, when they're like, we're gonna change everything. Like, we're gonna change every servant that gets summoned. The only time I saw one where that was funny and interesting was the Embia Grail War. Where the idea is we're going to, it's all Embia all the time, right?
Freed from the shackles that bound him to Alea, Embia finds himself stranded in the middle of a desert, with nothing on him, nor any idea what happened to him. Completely lost and out of his bounds, he stumbles into a galaxy far, far away, full of mystery and the likes of which he had never seen before. For the Emperor!
Sneaky is literally an Excel Saga protagonist. I don't know what that means.
I assume Excel Saga is some kind of weeb thing.
Probably. Alright, so this is an adventure fantasy story. 7 chapters. A healthy word count of 67k from that. So let's begin. He stood there, on the hill overlooking the expanse of trees and bushes far below. His muscles twitched, the remains of old Chinese blade falling from his grasp and fading into particles of light before even hitting the ground. A drop of blood trickled from the corner of his mouth, trailing down his chin and drawing a thin red line. Weakly, he wiped the blood off his mouth with a bruised hand. The one that he could still move, anyway. He heard a gasp behind him and turned around. There she stood in all her glory. No, the girl. No, the woman that he came to call his master. She stared at him with such a fragile and unbelieving expression, as if he would disappear the moment she looked away. Archer, she called, hesitating as to whether to take a step towards him or not. He smiled at her, and fighting against the fatigue and exhaustion as best he could to relieve her weariness. He could hear her sob even as she angled her head toward the ground and hid her face behind her hands. When was it that he at last had someone cry for him? It all felt so far away. He could feel his body disintegrating. The will of Gaia already pressuring his exhausted core into fading away. He had a few more minutes at best. He mustered what little strength he still had and shuffled towards her. His steps were incoherent and his vision waning, but he still soldiered on until he stood right in front of her. Rin, he called. It's an old crack anime where the protagonist is constantly ill and always gets injuries. Wow, that does fit me. Wow, I'm drunk now, just moving my head throws me off. I'll drink to that. Rin, he called. She jerked her head back up to look at him, her eyes wide and brimming with tears. Rin. She jumped into his chest, and he cursed under his breath at the sudden contact. This girl. He couldn't feel her tears through his armored chest, but he felt her shake and tremble with every breath she took. He hesitated as to what to do for a moment, before wrapping his good arm around her back and pulling her into a hug. She stiffened for a fraction of a second, but soon relaxed into his hold. Her legs gave way beneath her, but Archer was there to catch her. He crouched.
All right, look, this is nice dialogue and decent writing and all, but we know where this is.
Probably am.
Yes, he's dying it, blah, blah, blah,
Yep.
blah, 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 sadness, blah, blah,
They're
blah.
kissing. It's sad. They're sharing a moment. Maybe make a big enough fuss, and Amelia might send me after you. Very funny. Look after yourself. Don't end up like me. And then he vanished into a gust of particles into the wind, blowing as the breeze does. And then she collapsed into a heap of sand. Then the faintest light sparked. The smallest wisp of consciousness flared. How long had it been? How long was he asleep? Gears of his soul rusted for aeons. He willed himself to fall. He landed on his feet.
I'll say this: at least they're, they had a reasonably nice scene with him dying, and
Yeah.
then here's the thing, right? So far they're doing it right. We have a reasonably nice scene where he dies, and now we're moving right into the action.
Well, not even right into the action. We're going into explaining what the crossover is and how. So it's not, he's being yeeted into another dimension. Because it looks like it's not even that. It's literally just time passed, humans went to space, Earth was forgotten.
Which, that's always been like a potential thing in Star Wars.
Where once stood a hail of broken swords and a rusty sky, was now a vastness of green blades and a clear sky. Green blades? Green blades? Okay.
I'm curious as to what green blades means.
He took a step forward, his bare foot brushing against the soft grass, and stopped. He looked at his feet, slowly going up his legs and torso before he brought his hands in front of his eyes. He blinked before reaching for his head and plucking a hair from the top. Small limbs, tan skin, gray hair. What is the meaning of this? He frowned. He looked around again, his frown deepening. Everything was different. Every single detail that he remembered from his time before had changed. The only thing that remained was the blades thrust into the ground, anchors to his essence and proof of his being. He reached out for the pommel of a sword, a common blade like so many others, and pulled. The sword flew through the air towards him. He caught it in his hand, and taking comfort in the weight of the blade and its familiarity, he swung it a few times, a smile starting to form on his face before he willed it away. He dispelled the blade and moved through his domain. So he's walking through a field of blades and grass, and blah blah blah. He reached the familiar hill, littered with corpses and swords, now a picture of serenity. Something tugged on his consciousness, scanned his surroundings. What am I doing here? Why am I awake? Why is Unlimited Blade Works different? The ground started to break, large ridges and holes forming. The sky cracked, turning red, burning. Thunder clapped in the air. His body was on fire, like molten lines of steel rushing through his veins and filling every pore. He gasped, hands wide and hands grasping at his side as he fell to his knees. He couldn't scream, he couldn't cry. Every inch of his body felt out of his control. He closed his eyes and tried to focus on his circuits. A blade burst through his chest, piercing his skin, squirting blood all over the grass around him. What in the fuck? A twisted dagger burst out of his leg, piercing the hand resting on it. In the process and locking it in place, he fell forward, still kneeling when his head hit the grass. All around him, his reality marble crumbled to pieces, the clouds and sky turning into molten lava, slowly oozing into the ground and filling the broken landscape. More blades pierced out of his skin, a slew of dirks through his shoulder, a lance through his thigh, the tip of a jagged blade made entirely of stone, cleanly poking through his back. He felt his consciousness give way under the intensity of the pain, his reign over his own soul rapidly ebbing away. He wanted to give in, to let the darkness take him, as as every piece of his body crumbled under the piercing blades and the rumbling of the ground beneath him. But just as his consciousness started to fade, just as the ground gave away beneath his feet, all of it faded into darkness.
Welcome to darkness.
Did we take a left turn into Kingdom Hearts somewhere along the line?
God, I hope not.
Wasn't Star Wars set in our past? As in a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away? Well,
Yes.
in a galaxy far, far away, it wouldn't be Earth then, period.
I was gonna say, you're missing a real key part there. Galaxy far, far away. Fucking Muppet.
Oh, Moth. When he first came back to his senses, he had expected to be in some remote region of the world, faced with the convoy of slavers, or dealing with an armed company of a local war chief. Heck, he had even expected to have to deal with a rogue magus, maybe a belligerent apostle and his army of deleterious ghouls. Blah blah blah, he killed people, blah blah. What you hadn't expected to be on the Dune world. Just kidding. It's just a giant dune of sand, not
That
Dune
would have
world.
made it far more interesting.
Is that Jorp in the background? Okay, look, Isley, it's amusing when you get Max and Atin confused, but Orpheus has a massively different mic than either of them, and Jorp just sounds like Jorp. Literally, I don't know how you can get Jorp confused with anyone. He's just that obnoxious sounding.
Listen. See, you took it too far. Now we know you're just shit posting.
What? No, I genuinely believe Jorp sounds obnoxious.
No, Isley.
Oh, yes. That's who. He was in a desert, blah blah. He had never been summoned as a child before, and he still looked like his servant self, but that was confusing. Hey.
Wait, so he looks like... So he's a child for some reason.
Yep.
But servant self?
Yeah, so basically he still has his tan skin, his eyes are gold instead of silver, and his
That's
hair is silver.
stupid.
Yeah, well, you know what? We all knew this was going to get stupid eventually.
Yeah, but like based on that first chat, on that first, I don't know, what, 3-4 paragraphs, I assumed it would take longer.
Well, you're wrong. Anyway, so he found out that his body had no circuits in them anymore, and he couldn't do magic.
Okay, at least we've cleared that up.
What really, blah, 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 blah. Emmett gritted his teeth and massaged his temples, straining his eyes, looking across for the horizon. He had no supplies, no water, no clothes. He was bare in more ways than one. He
Really?
sighed.
So, okay. Wait, so he looks like his servant self, but he's naked?
And a child.
Okay, so assuming he's actually on Tatooine,
Mm.
let's Sneaky, let's do some armchair predicting based on the fact that we're not
Right.
idiots.
Okay.
So depending on when this is set,
Mhm.
he could end up in Tahiri's Sand People tribe.
Mm-hmm.
He could get found by the Junior Jedi Knights when they're on Tatooine. Regardless of what happens, he's gonna have to be found pretty fucking quick because he's on Tatooine,
Right, right.
a place that kills people really, really quickly.
Yeah.
So let me just ask you, where do you think the story is going to go? Who do you think is going to pick him up? Well, first of all, when do you think this is set time-wise? Like,
when do I think
Revan
it's
era, Junior Jedi Knights era,
set?
Anakin hasn't yeeted the galaxy yet.
Oof. I'll have to see which ship they mentioned first, honestly.
Oh, well, that's just cheating. That just makes it easy.
I guess, but I would say probably. Emiya into Star Wars. When would he show up in this story? I would say, going by how the problem. I'm gonna go with the assumption that they've only ever watched the movies, so I'm gonna say Clone Wars. Maybe when they find Anakin. He's calling it right now. He's going to be picked up and enslaved alongside Anakin. Says Nexus. That's possible.
I'm starting with Nexus on this.
Yeah, I'm really thinking that's the highly likely one.
It's fan fiction. It's not EU. Therefore,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would love it if he was like, here's the thing, right? Get picked up by, Counter Guardian Emiya, get picked up by the Junior Jedi Knights, end up at the Jedi Praxium.
Fucking meets Revan.
No,
Yeah.
see, that'd be terrible. Revan is not a good person, and Revan definitely wouldn't take on an apprentice. Even if he wanted to, there's no way in hell Bastila would ever let that happen.
No, I'm talking about before he went full dark side.
I mean, even still, it wouldn't happen. Like, remember, he technically had 2 apprentices, whom, as far as we can tell, he never actually did anything for.
Fucking Malik.
He certainly never trained the Exile. He certainly never trained Malik, or Malik wouldn't have been such a fucking pushover bitch.
No, Malik is just a bitch in general. That's not because of training.
No, but I'm saying we have an established pattern of him not actually training. Like,
Yeah.
it's like
I was saying, I wasn't even saying apprentice. I was saying more like they could both share their philosophies with each other.
But yeah, like you get what I'm saying, because like the as far as we can tell, Revan taking on an apprentice is like when Genos goes to be Saitama's disciple. Yeah, kid, you can follow me around. I'll let you do that.
Anyway, so desert, blah blah. I have to figure out where I am.
Desert, it's hot, it's sandy.
Counter Guardian Emiya was flabbergasted, completely and utterly flabbergasted. He managed to find junk along the ways and was now using it as makeshift protection. As he walked, the flat chunk of metal left a trail behind him. This whole situation looked like a joke. He could feel the hot metal burning him as he held it, but he ignored it.
Why is he holding the metal, and how is it leaving a trail in the sand if he's holding it? Like is he dragging this as like a metal sled? If so,
no,
why?
He's dragging it over his head.
Oh, right, I'm sorry, I forgot. He's a child. Literally a child.
Yeah, he's got to cover his body so he doesn't burn in the sun.
No, that's not what I meant. I was like, how could he be dragging a piece of metal and it leaving a trail in the sand? I was like, right, child. Literal child.
This whole situation felt like a joke. Blah, 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 blah.
Also, just technically, wouldn't being under the metal cook him faster? Heat transference?
No, because the metal is mostly reflective in terms of heat.
You're right.
Like,
well, I mean, depends on what kind of heat it is, but yeah. Metal it is, I mean, not what kind of heat. There's only one kind of heat.
well, no, even like iron and steel and shit, they cool relatively quickly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, because they transfer heat so rapidly, it's going to be causing him more of a problem than not, right?
No, well, it would if he was like wearing the metal, but he's holding it over his head. So it's mostly going to be messing up his fingers a lot, but it's actually an improvement over him not having that sheet of metal over him. Now, the metal itself is obviously going to be hot, yes, and if he loses his grip on it, it's going to sizzle him. Like a stuck pig. So he's walking along the sand dunes a bunch, walking along the sand dunes a bunch, walking along the sand dunes a bunch. And, then, this thing. He saw a thing, a massive frame of metal. Like it was
Got
some
it.
form
Jawas.
of, yeah, a feat of engineering, like it was from a sci-fi movie. Blah blah blah. Slumbering giant in the lands and blah blah. Small body was dwarfed by the construct. Blah blah. He closed his eyes and exhaled. For a moment, he had completely admitted his lack of service as he mouthed his aria and focused on his senses. His mind pictured the hammer of a gun. He breathed in and out, struck his primer. He could feel something inside him reaching out, tugging at the edge of his soul, but it vanished when he tried to grasp it. He frowned at the giant behemoth of steel. There was no way he could scale all the way to the top to find a way into the thing.
Just a side note, the stuff they're gonna be having him do magic with the Force, not how that works.
No, not at all. I mean,
Like,
one could say that
here's the problem. No one has ever, in any part of Star Wars done any of the stuff they're going to have him do.
I was gonna say
I'm not-
one could theoretically use Fate Stay Night spells if you had magic circuits, even if you were in a Star Wars universe planet. But then again, I'm thinking here of like universal decay and shit like that, and it's just like,
Well, you're also forgetting they just made it abundantly clear he doesn't have circuits.
yeah, I know, but yeah,
I'm not
it's-
too familiar with the mechanics of magic and Fate Stay Night, but isn't it inverse to the Force? The Force is an exterior force, and magic is done within the body.
Yep.
So it's the same issue that Naruto Star Wars crossovers have with you can't do it because they function completely differently. And
Yeah, you are correct. You can't say that the Force is chakra and chakra's the Force, because the Force is something that's outside everybody, and the amount you can pull in is determined by magic microbes or random chance, depending on what interpretation you prefer.
my interpretation is the magical microbes are attracted to the Force and not the cause, because that makes way more.
I mean, yeah, again, not saying it, just whatever interpretation you prefer, it doesn't really matter. The point is, it's an external thing.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I was saying, if he did have magic circuits, you could theoretically have him cast Fate spells, but then the problem comes with the whole how mana works in Fate, and where it's like a collectivized life force breathed out by all the humans that don't use mana, and Gaia collects that shit for something or other, and it's this whole complicated fucking network. It's sort of like how Skyrim magic works, and where it's like it really technically speaking, you could possibly get away with them using their magic on another universe's planets, but on
I haven't
like
missed anything important, have I?
no,
Not really.
realistically,
Nothing.
no, you would not be able to explain that away.
We're just talking about why you can't have the Force do fate magic.
That sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah,
No,
well, this off is
even
doing
leaving
it.
aside the bad idea part, it's not possible.
Yeah. The Force doesn't work like that.
Well, and even not only does the Force not work like that, I'm saying all the stuff they want him to do with the Force, no one has ever done with the Force. The most anyone has ever done with the Force is microscopically adjust circuits.
Alright, so this is actually...
Isn't there an entire race that can just teleport things? Just saying.
No.
I don't believe. So I'm genuinely curious as to.
Jason ran. Okay, when Jason. Okay, this is in the EU. That was
Yep,
decanonized.
yep.
He went on
Yes,
that massive journey, and then Luke and his son went on a journey following it. They ran into a race of Force users that are like, "Oh yeah, we can just teleport inanimate objects. It just pops in and out because it's displacing air and matter around it when you do it."
No, I think I could be wrong. I'll fully admit that I'm wrong. I think you're thinking about the fact that they ran into the people who were Force illusion masters. And that was one of the things that Jason learned. And
Teleportation was a rare Force ability that enabled the user to move from one place to another. I'm sorry, I only saw the version that worked on inanimate objects, not physical beings.
As I said 30 seconds ago, I could be very wrong.
Yeah.
No, I'm shocked because the only one that I know about is the one that's like inanimate objects. This one is just full on.
Anyway, this it still doesn't apply. The original statement still applies because the Force does not operate on the same level as a mystery actualization does, as you would cast in the Fate Zero.
Again, not familiar with fate magic, but there is the possibility of Force rituals because I know that's a thing.
Yes,
but I don't know how
wait,
well
so
that matches
with-
with
Night Sisters,
Fate-
that's weird.
Fate magic.
No. Let's be clear. The Night Sister magic, at least as far as the EU went, that was you can do quote unquote magic with the Force and do Force rituals. All that actually is it's people writing down on a piece of paper as best they can how to get a specific result with the Force.
As I was saying, so fate magic in general works like this. You do a bunch of math, then you self-hypnotize the parts that you can't math out into making yourself believe that this spell totally works. And then after you do that, you then don't share the spell with anyone else. Because the more people that know how your spell operates, the less effective it is.
Because there's more people to poke holes in your math.
More or less, yeah. And
Gotcha. So
yeah.
it's a mixture of arithmancy and the whole if you believe it works because that's how the universe is system.
Which, again, to be fair, there is a fair amount of self-hypnosis going on in the Fate-verse with the magic casters, which is a decent explanation as to why they are all off their fucking rockers.
Right.
Why is every single one of you insane? I mean, we basically take drugs to do magic.
Yeah, the Fate magic is weird because there's actually a bunch of different kinds of magecraft, which all comes from mystery, which taps into the root to a degree. Mm-hmm.
And then you have the true magic, which are magics that are completely unexplainable and you can't do any math at all for them. And you somehow stumble upon them through literally just gaining so much insight and then not dying.
I looked at Cthulhu, I didn't die, I didn't go completely nuts, now I have super magic.
Sounds like Bloodborne.
It's the
Ba-
ultimate
ba- I was gonna
version of someone sticking to because it's magic. Fuck you.
I was gonna say, bear in mind, the whole seeing an elder deity and not going insane is one way that someone could theoretically acquire true magic.
Yes.
There are plenty of others.
It's just
Right.
Like
all of them
you know,
are extremely
touching-
lethal.
Yeah.
And a bad idea.
Like the few owners of true magic are literally immortal beings. So
to give you an example, well, they're also all like off their hyper rocker. Like they are so far out of the realm of just rational thought.
well, not even necessarily that. Like it's literally
Max, the
what was-
blue literally deletes reality to walk places.
What was it? Was it Doctor Paradox of Ben 10? Right? Like
Yes,
they've been insane for so long. They literally
they got
went back
bored
on
of
the
being
bed to
insane.
being-
Yeah,
Not even being bored. They literally just made the full loop. It's like being ADD and taking your meds. You complete the loop and reset to what a normal human being should
complete
be
the
able to
loop.
rationalize.
Make us whole.
The numbers, Mason.
Like-
What do the numbers mean? Little did
Yeah,
we know
well-
that it was actually about magic.
I mean, you guys know that's how ADD. Like that's why stimulants work for us, right? It literally tops our energy caps off for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Medication is weird.
Medicine in general is weird. The human body's fucking weird. Okay.
Yeah.
I know. It's funny to me that like as an
Boy,
ADD
this poison is sure tasty.
To be fair, it's poisonous to like half the animal kingdom. Not the entire.
Hyper lethal to nearly entire animal kingdom. I love putting it all over my food.
Literally
to be
evolved
used
to
as a
make
temporary
animals
painkiller.
go away.
Oh wow, this thing kills people. Oh wow, such a nice painkiller.
Now, by the way, what story are we on?
This is the Star Wars Fate Stay Night crossover in which heroic spirit Emiya.
Okay, you didn't. Okay, you just didn't link it then.
I didn't. I thought I did.
No, you didn't.
You didn't.
My
None of us
apologies.
particularly cared, though. So.
No. Wait, shit. I did not.
I mean, I care. You just linked the Black Swordsman. There you go.
Fuck you.
I care because I like having a record of these on the off chance I do go back and make a fucking highlight reel of dumb shit.
It's definitely a highlight reel of dumb shit.
Definitely a highlight
Anyway,
By the
reel of
way,
dumb
you guys
shit.
aren't getting shit until Sneaky gives me my actual full paycheck.
I gave you your actual full paycheck.
No,
don't-
you didn't. You
no.
stiffed us because of exchange rates, you idiot.
Also, no, let's not forget, it was a higher paycheck than normal, so he isn't even giving us the cut of that included.
What do you mean it's a
That
higher
too.
paycheck than normal?
Sneaky, the paycheck was for 186, or did you forget you told us you had 86 in the bank and then someone gave us an extra $100?
Yeah, they only distribute $100 at a time.
Yeah.
Who's fucking I hate Twitch.
Twitches.
the more oh.
Because I'm not a partner yet, they stagger my payments.
Who
Will
the
you ever be a partner?
I would
No.
need. I
Someday,
know.
possibly.
the
Theoretically,
only way
I
he-
could. I just need 75 concurrent viewers for 5 streams straight.
I don't think that's happening.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's not.
I mean, it could happen. I just need, people to actually show up and then stay.
And constant shilling.
Constant
Anyway,
killing.
point is, you did in fact stiff us because of exchange rates.
No, because
Yes.
no.
Yeah, Sneaky.
As an
I
example,
stiffed Max. I didn't stiff you.
Yes, you did. You sent me Canadian dollars.
Yeah, 28 Canadian dollars. That's equal to $20.
No,
Okay.
you sent me 25.54.
That's equal to $20.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Oh. Atin, by the way, I checked my email today because I finally had my chance to check my email. Apparently, you also have to accept that, so the exchange rate might have gone down even lower if you haven't accepted that money yet.
So if I
see?
just say no,
Well, he gets the money back, but then he Well, actually, no, he's not in the state of Georgia, so he can't make that claim. Never mind.
Mm.
Georgia has a great debt claim.
I hate to break it to
Hey.
you. Max is right. The exchange rate did differ. It's now $26 to $20, so you might want to redeem that pretty quickly, my dude.
Oh, wow, the Canadian dollar actually went up because the Japanese yen went down. Sneaky, the payment I accepted from you went down a whole 60 cents. Like, are you PayPal? Why do I have to accept this? Oh, it's because he sent it as a literal paycheck instead of a gift. The dumb fuck. I've never met someone as technologically illiterate as you be a complete and utter dumbass and everything else technology related.
No, even better. So today, at work, I'm doing my job,
Uh-huh.
and I get, pull out a new bag, and I start scanning the bag, and it's like bag not found. I'm like, oh, that's fucking weird. Call over my supervisor.
Not normal.
I call over my supervisor. She's looking at the page. She's looking at the bag. She's manually typing it in. She's testing various things. She's like, I don't understand what's going on here either. Because, yeah, the bag hasn't been opened yet. Okay? This is important. The bag has not been opened yet.
Yeah.
And the other important thing here is I got 2 bags, different places, but the same company. So they use the same bag type.
Alright, sure.
So, I have opened one of these bags, and I have run one of these bags. I have tried to run the second one, but I could not.
That's a problem.
So I give the bag to my boss, and my boss is like, oh, well, this is clearly just a logging error. You're just doing it wrong. I'm like, look, boss man.
Clearly, you're just stupid.
No, I'm just like, look, boss man, I'm not touching it. You see I'm not touching it. I called the supervisor over. She has already looked at it. She could not figure out the problem. I am leaving this to you. Well, you're just doing it wrong. It's like, yeah, maybe I am. But I am not going to be responsible for whatever fuck-up occurred. So he goes through it all. And he's looking through it, and he's like, oh, well, I've found the issue here. You've already run the bag. I'm like, that is physically impossible. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, because I pull out the bag that I ran, with the money no longer inside it, because I ran the money. And I stamped the ticket.
Uh-oh.
And I look at the bag, though, and it says $15K on it. I'm like, there was not $15K in this bag. And I took out the ticket, and it says $600 on the ticket for that bag. And he looks at the bag, and he looks at the ticket in my hand, and then he looks at the sealed bag still in his hand with the ticket for the bag I am holding inside it. He's just like, what the fuck?
The fuck up was way before you.
There was a fuck up at some point, and somehow it just got worse.
I mean, look on the upside. It was caught.
I mean, yes.
That's the important part. It was caught. It doesn't change the fact that someone fucked up.
But he just sat there for a moment in just like sheer disbelief because he was so certain I was the reason it fucked up.
No,
but he's looking at this. No, to be fair,
when you're a manager, it is almost always your employees' fault.
No, it is usually my fault. This is why I was like, look, I'm giving this bag to you. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to modify anything. I'm giving this. That's why. Because I fucked up several times before, and at this point, I'm just like, look, here you go. I am not touching it. You see me not touching it.
I know normally it's my fault, but I swear this one ain't.
But he's just like looking between these two bags and like sheer like, how the fuck even?
Why are you like this? Why did I hire you? Why do I keep you?
Oh, yeah. I'm probably gonna get fired soon.
I mean, are you doing a good job?
Sneaky. Every time you talk about your job, I understand more and more why the bank's almost failed.
Oh, by the way, also,
My-
it's totally gonna be Revan. None of us bothered to look at the author picture.
Oh shit, is it gonna be?
What about Revan? What?
It's some kind of terribly recolored Revan. Like,
Oh.
I think he's going to replace Revan, because look, it's some kind of terrible recolor of Revan.
Now, what were you guys complaining about him wanting to do things with the Force? By the way, what is he trying to do with the Force concerning Magecraft?
Just anything. Well, first of all, Emiya's normal version of Magecraft, which involves materializing matter out of nothing.
Basically, he lost his magic circuits. He was trying to use magic on instinct, and he felt the Force. And so we're like, oh, he's trying to use the Force to do fate.
The only thing that he could do with the Force for that, matter creation's not a thing, but he can give the Force a shape, and then if he wants, he can put a fancy skin over it. That's a thing.
He can, but like a Force blade isn't like. It is technically a possible thing that you could do since the Force is energy, but holding it would be almost impossible. It just generally overall easier to just make a fucking lightsaber.
Well, that's what lightsabers are, though. They're, if I remember correctly, they're foci for the Force.
No, they aren't.
Like, at least in the EU. Are
No,
they
They've
not?
they're-
literally never been that.
No.
Have they? not?
Back
Maybe
in the old
misremembering
days of
something else.
fan theories, maybe, but no, like anyone can use a lightsaber. Actually, there are multiple points in the EU where, like, one of my favorite scenes was this little grouchy
Well, and not just
Ewok.
the EU. Not just the EU, let's be clear.
Well,
Finn used a lightsaber.
But yes, I know, but
Horribly.
like before that, there were a shit ton of examples of like non-force uses using lightsabers. The lightsabers themselves, it was down to like the person making it. Like some people had a switch, other people had a mechanism whether you had to use the force to connect a circuit before hitting the switch.
Some
a good
people
ex-
just had an internal switch that you
There's
tripped
okay,
with the
a
Force.
really good example of why like sometimes force users weren't really encouraged to use lightsabers is one, it's really fucking dangerous without precognitive reflexes, and two, during the days of the Republic, a lot of users would just they'd have a switch. That switch had to be pressed down all the fucking time, otherwise it's shut off. Whereas
Right.
when Luke built his own lightsaber, he included a locking mechanism so he could easily just throw the lightsaber without keeping the force pressed down on the switch. Also, favorite scene in the expanded universe was the. And do you remember the Hive trilogy?
Yep.
My favorite fucking scene in that is that grouchy little Ewok just fucking flipping around in zero G with Luke's lightsaber.
Okay, yes, but
That
personally
was
my favorite was
great.
when Luke mind tricked 2 entire armies into thinking his ship wasn't there.
That was pretty great, and although he also learned, wow, that's a really dumb idea without some preparation.
Yeah, okay. No, but like let's be clear here. He did that without preparation and went, I should do that with prep next time. You know, like in the Fate universe, that would be the equivalent of just being like, I need to summon the Holy Grail, and then just going like, all right, summoning the Holy Grail, not doing any prep, not having any foci, not doing the math, just gonna summon the Grail.
Just
Yeah,
throw down
it's
some
sort-
mad yeet.
It's just like, so I summoned a servant, without using a grail. How are you alive? I don't know.
Truthfully, I'm not quite sure, but I do know I just took a week-long nap.
Also, I can't feel my right arm. Is that normal? Although, I guess, to be fair, losing a week's worth of time and an arm for a fucking servant, even if they're a low-level servant, oh boy. That's
Oh,
a pretty
God,
good
yes.
trade.
Yes, especially since you would presumably not be bound by that command seal bullshit.
I'm fairly certain my extreme ignorance on the actual cost of the servant is the only thing keeping me alive right now.
Also, I think the throne is angry at me, but it's so impressed it's going to let me keep it.
I'm just denying the fact that servants cost mana to maintain.
But yeah, so anyway, point is, the stuff he wants to do with the Force, he can't. And also, lightsabers are just crystals and circuits and a modified laser. That's actually one of the reasons the Jedi kept knowledge of the planets where you could get lightsaber crystals so secret, because as if people had enough crystals, they could just experiment until they made a lightsaber, which, first of all, that process in and of itself was stupidly dangerous, because if you make it wrong, there's a pretty good chance it explodes.
Isn't it also like a thermonuclear bomb?
It's more like a small thermal detonator.
Well, yeah, but they're also good, like, they're really efficient power converters, essentially, from what I remember. Like,
well, not initially they weren't.
Well, no.
Because back in the time, even before Revan, in order to use a lightsaber, you literally had a backpack battery. That hook, like, you had a hook, like a cable for your lightsaber.
I didn't know that. Boy, that actually sounds like it'd be really fun to see. But,
I was gonna say, we know this because way back, there was, Jedi and Sith War. Surprise. Back in the days before Revan, and there was some there was some evil rock that could increase your capacity to touch the dark side, at the expense of the rock would eventually burn out and take a little bit of your lifespan with it when it did.
Okay.
Touch
I
it,
guess it came from some planet that the Sith did a bunch of evil stuff on, so it made evil rocks. Anyway.
Anyway. I love the Star Wars EU.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Anyway, so some dude has a ship full of this rock, and there's a Jedi sent to stop that ship from making it to the front lines, because if a bunch of the Sith start running around with this evil rock, even if it's just a 30-second power boost, that is enough for them to kill a lot of people.
Yeah, 30 seconds of, like, unlimited tapping of the dark side, you could do a lot with 30 seconds of pure, unadulterated dark side.
But so this Jedi is like, aha, I know what I'll do. I'll sabotage the hyperdrive so that they hyperdrive themselves out of existence. And that was a great plan, except he failed to get off the ship in time.
Good job.
Nice.
Now this became important because the guy who was in charge of the ship knew he found the Jedi, started fighting him, and then the Jedi started running away. He's like, why is he running away? Oh wait, we're about to make the jump to hyperspace. Did he sabotage my ship? And so then he used every rock. Bear in mind, they quarried like a moon's worth of this rock. He used every rock in his ship to basically make a Geller field around his Star Destroyer to keep it from breaking apart in hyperspace. And then they ended up like 5,000 years in the future in the time of Jaden Core.
And they brought their backpack lightsabers with them.
Yes.
By the way, quick question. Is it Kyber or Kaber?
I believe it's Kyber.
Okay, because I wanted...
K-Y-B-E-R.
I almost
KY
threw my
is Kyber.
controller.
Yeah, it's Kyber.
Yeah. Okay, because I almost threw my controller because I finished up the main story for Fallen Order, and at one point, the word Kyber crystal's thrown out, except they pronounced it Kaber, and I was like, I'm sorry?
No. Yeah,
Yes,
no.
What did you
they're
just
wrong.
do? What did you just say?
They are
Cal?
incorrect.
It's like, really? Of all the pronunciations for you to fuck up.
See, if we still had the what was it? If we still had the holocron keepers, that would never have happened.
Anyway, I think we should wrap it up for the night. I mean, we're only at 8:45, but there's really nothing else to cover tonight that I feel like really is useful. I mean, there's some just fucking dumb shit, but it's like Overlord and Campione, and it's just like, eh. Maybe finish off the night with a worm fic.
Let's not and say we didn't.
I mean, it's just fucking dumb. It's more just to sit here and make fun of it for the closing of the night.
Here's the thing. We could continue to talk about Star Wars instead. Something we're all actually semi-motivated to talk about.
We could. Or alternatively, hear me out here, we make fun of this.
Omega Zero.
I'm just reading the end of it. He cursed on, damn this body. He'd expected his shell to be similar to his old self. He was wrong. His body was that of a normal child, if a weak and malnourished one. The fact that he was bereft of magical circuits should have clued him in, but he was too tired and pressed to think straight. No, he wasn't tired or pressed to think straight when he first showed up in the body, author.
Alright, so this is Games Worm Crossover. Omega Zero. Choose Your Own Adventure version 3 Overpowered Edition. Omega, me, uses psionics from Warhammer 40k, wizard spells from Pathfinder, the Force from Star Wars franchise, and biotics from Mass Effect. And all of the tech from all of them, except from Worm, because Tinker Tech is broken.
Yeah. Can I point out the
That's
massive
the balance.
idiotic...
That's the balance!
Can I point out the massive, annoying amount of hypocrisy here?
Sure, go for it, yeah. Slap it down, boy.
Tinker Tech is broken, but I'm going to pick a Choose Your Own Adventure where it's overpowered, and I'm going to give him the best stuff from 4 different universes. But I'm not going to use Tinker Tech because Tinker Tech's broken.
Yep.
Leaving aside the fact that I've created a character that is enormously, stupidly, absurdly broken.
Yep.
Like, might possibly stand an actual chance against an Endbringer. Broken.
Also, who wants to put money on them never doing anything bad with the warp ever?
Probably, yeah. But, I do want to point out as well.
That is always a problem when someone brings the warp into any universe. If you bring the warp in, you have to bring the perils of the warp chart too.
It has taken them an entire year to write 4,000 words.
Oh my god, you're right.
That's ridiculous.
Like, even on my unreleased story, we're at least at around 12k words already. So, it's just like... And I wrote that in the span of, like, 2 days. So, you know...
Oh my god, I'm so angry just reading the first paragraph.
Yep. Magnus was uncomfortable. Hell! He was more than uncomfortable. He regretted, momentarily, his decision to volunteer for this procedure. Not that there were many alternative test subjects in the Alliance Navy because of his unique abilities with magic, biotics, psionics, and the Force.
Was very nearly unique.
It damn well better be very nearly unique because it fucking doesn't exist in that.
The procedure itself was a success. He now had a functioning set of experimental mechanicus implants. Waking up, now that hadn't been a success. A wave of exquisite confusion, vertigo, and disorientation startled Magnus enough that he had momentarily lost control of his abilities. Combined with a surge in his new implants as they activated, he was shunted through the warp and rendered unconscious. Just fuck this entire story.
Okay, right. Yes, so this, and then, you're awake, and she's dressed in combat fatigues, wearing...
Miss Militia.
It's wait.
What happened? You were found unconscious and practically naked near the board. What?
What? Why does he know her? What? Have you thought about joining the Protectorate? What should we call you? I won't be joining. I like my technology.
No, hold on. You're skipping a bunch of... He was uncertain of how the people of this Earth felt and dealt with dimensional crossovers.
I feel like the author has written 3 prior stories to this, but hasn't published them and expects us to know them.
I feel like it's a good thing I don't own a gun, because holy fucking shit.
I feel like they're trying to get us to read their mind.
Yeah,
As to what's going on here. Like,
yeah. Like I said, they've been writing something they didn't Actually,
Wait, there are some foreign terms there. It just, you literally called her Miss Militia before she even. Ah!
And she's not asking any of these questions, nor is she suspicious.
I can defend myself. I have a trick up my sleeve. I understand. What is your name? Magnus considered this. He was the first of the Omegas. His Mechanicus implants prototypes by the technologists of Mars. I am Omega. Omega Zero. Omega is final for you.
No, if Omega is too final for you.
Well, the
First of all,
doctors say
Omega
you're
how is Omega Zero less final than Omega?
I don't know. He said a word of power, and the N7 armor, but upgraded, appeared on him. Oh my fucking...
Another word and gesture made him disappear. Like,
oh my god.
Now it's the lung fight. Can we please just stop this?
Yeah. So instead, I'm going to talk about crossovers and writing them.
I feel like we have
boy.
this conversation every time I come on.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
because you happen to
it's
show
odd.
up. Oh, good. Let's see. It spells you.
I just happen to have sudden inspiration to talk about crossovers every single time the crossover writer appears. That's weird.
Just a side note. Let's take a look at his at the bottom here. Disguise self, first level wizard. Teleport, 5th level wizard. Deep slumber, 3rd level wizard. Force throw, force healing. Barrier, warp. No psionic powers. Like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Fuck this and fuck you.
Alright. So, this is actually something that I was kind of waffling on as to whether I should post like a eulogy page for my Naruto Ruby crossover, because I'm not coming back to it. The concurrent seasons after I started that story has just firmly cemented my will to never touch that again.
I mean, look, if a story's dead, I was gonna say I actually prefer when authors put in a dead story and they make it chapter 1. Like, go back,
I hear you,
make chapter 1 a thing saying this story is dead.
I'll probably
Or
edit
put it in
the
the
summary.
summary.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll probably release a chapter and then edit the summary to say it's dead.
Yeah.
But
So that way people could, they don't go and get their hopes up or whatever.
so basically,
Look, you say that.
this is. Yeah, I'm still gonna get people going. Oh, are you gonna ever write this again? It's like, no.
Yeah, I've got like 8 stories up on my page right now that all say archived, uploaded for archival purposes, which I don't think it can be any clearer that they're discontinued without me actually putting discontinued. And I still have about 3 private messages a day asking me if I'm going to continue this story.
You know what you should say, Orf? Yes, I will continue this story if Sneaky Devil gets 75 concurrent viewers.
You know what? I actually thought about, no, not that, but I actually thought about, since I have a Patreon now, I'll make a tier specifically for, if someone pays me enough, I will add another
Make it
chapter
the
on,
bitch
like,
pay me tier.
Yeah, just like, all right.
That might actually violate the terms of service, but
Yes,
Just like, all right, pay me,
that
pay me
does.
like $25, $50, and
Yeah.
you can choose one story of mine that is discontinued, and I will write a new chapter for it, and you have to pay me every month for me to keep doing that every month.
That's an acceptable compromise.
yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this comes down to the aspects of the Naruto Ruby story and why I wrote it the way I did. So as much as I harped on stories that kind of jumped the gun and got straight into the parts that, canon parts basically, instead of going over all the shit. The problem with the Naruto Ruby story was, and the reason why I did jump to the more canon parts, I mean, I did put at least 14,000 words into leading up to the canon parts of various time skips showing him developing certain ways and thinking about certain things and opinions on certain things. But the problem is is you can't out main character the main character of a series. And what I mean by that is with Naruto joining Beacon, he would need a team. So his team would need to be made up of people. And if Naruto wasn't part of the Taiyang family, to involve him in any of the shit that Ozpin gets up to, you need to have someone of interest on his team, which then, that's directly stealing from Ruby. That's directly stealing from Weiss and Blake. Like, these are all persons of interest for Ozpin. And that's, maybe he didn't purposely set up the team to be like that, but they're still all people of interest. And if I then filled the team with, like, I made a new company, and it's their son or their daughter, it would just detract from the story. And the other problem is showing the time lapse between the 3-year age gap, I think it was, the 2-year age gap or something like that between Yang and Naruto. So there need to be at least 2 to 3 years of, original events going on, because obviously Cinder isn't going to do her shit yet, because Cinder isn't ready yet, because Amber hasn't been attacked yet. I would have needed to come up with all of my own original content, which again isn't a problem, but the problem then becomes, okay, I'm at canon now, and it would then just turn into a rehash of the content that I did. Because, they're going to get, they're huntsmen, so events are normal, of, getting trapped in a Grim Cave, some equipment malfunctions, and X event happens, there's some team drama going on, because, again, teenagers on a team, high tension scenarios, drama's going to occur. They're not soldiers. Even soldiers have some drama, but, you get my point. And the problem was I couldn't out main character, I couldn't out Ruby the story with Naruto, because the story wasn't about, Naruto coming in and kicking ass, and yes, he would kick ass because chakra is just subjectively and objectively better than aura, just flat out is.
Well, you can do more with it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And you can go faster with it. You're tougher with it. You can do more abilities with it. And that was sort of the focus. The actual focus of the story was the differences between chakra and aura, and how Naruto would develop if he had a family. And an important part of that was going to be Ruby and Yang and his interactions with them. What would Naruto do if he actually had precious people from the start, and he was told to act a certain way towards them by his adopted father? What would he do? What lengths would he go to? That sort of thing. Because, Naruto went fucking far as shit. Like, for Sasuke, literally went to the most powerful people in the world to try and get them to not have Sasuke killed. Yeah. And that was for a guy who literally stabbed him in the heart twice by that point.
Yep.
So, what would Naruto do in the Ruby world with chakra, with no explanation of how to use chakra? It's an interesting idea, but the problem comes from the fact that making all of that original content, by the time you actually got to the whatever, because then again, you'd have to, maybe there's butterfly effects, maybe you captured Roman early, then now you have to make up an OC to fill in for Roman, because Cinder's still gonna look for a criminal. Oh, maybe you went after Cinder early. Okay, well then, what's the problem then? What problem is Ruby gonna face? She's no longer the main character now. Basically, she's no longer the focus of the story, in terms of the Ruby side. I hate the fact that the fucking main character's name... both Naruto and Ruby do this, so the main character's name is the same name as the series, so when you're trying to reference the series and not the character, but also the character in the same sentence, it's like, oh, fucking Christ. But again, that's all stuff that could be worked around, and just by the fact of having canon occur and then having the original content occur after the canon parts that would happen regardless. So, Cinder getting a criminal, attacking Beacon, or trying to attack Beacon. This would be the whole sort of part of the repercussions of Naruto being Naruto at the age he is, with the experiences he had, because he would set Cinder off to do different things, and it would make original content. It would make original content by just having a normal set of divergences. But the problem was getting there. And the problem is I had to choose between having basically time lapses, which is what I did to get there, or trying to write basically, 1 to 2 original books of content, only to have that content basically repeat with the next semi-generation. Because, Ruby and Yang were also going to be a focus of the story.
I think the big issue with crossing over into Ruby is, especially when you're trying to do parallel plot lines, is world building, and that's always the issue with Ruby.
Yeah,
you have to.
That was the other problem, is that if I was going to do original content, where is this original content taking place? Is it going to take place in Vacuo? Okay, well, I at least need to explain Vacuo then to the people. And there's basically no information on Vacuo besides it's a desert, and the rule of Vacuo is the strong survive.
Yeah. My shorthands for Ruby in general is always, okay, I'm going to cheat a little bit and use a lot of inspiration from historical cultures, and when I cross over into Naruto, my shorthand is I'm going to cheat a whole lot. Because I'm doing a world fusion, and fuck if I'm going to make that many characters.
Yeah, and I get that, but it's just like, the problem with just writing Ruby in general is the sheer amount of world fixing you have to do. And I understand from a action-adventure perspective, you may not have been needing to do too much of that. Like, again, Monty was an animator. He thought about what kind of fights can I have, not what kind of world can I build. He got the general gist of it. Okay, so there's mecha shift weapons. That'll be cool in my fights. And they have to fight these different monsters, and that would look cool in my fights. And, there's, this school, so I can have all the monster killers fight each other, too. So I get those fights, too. And, I'm not going to say he did a bad job on the fights. They were, interesting to watch, I suppose. But he didn't do a lot of world building. He didn't do a lot of why. Grimm are a huge issue in Ruby in terms of narrative. If Grimm are so, such a pressing issue, so big of an issue that we need fucking massive goddamn walls to keep them out. And they're just an endless tide, and hunters are dying left and right, just keeping these villages alive and doing missions to kill the Grimm and keep their numbers down. And, or alternatively, are the Grimm not a threat? If the Grimm are a threat, then why doesn't XYZ happen in this universe? These are the common sense responses to this sort of thing. Well, but those things don't exist. In fact, some of their opposites exist. So then are the Grimm not a threat? If the Grimm are not a threat, then why are huntsmen basically celebrities then? They would be more like golf celebrities. It's like, yeah, you might have heard of the name Tiger Woods, but have you heard of any other golf celebrities?
I mean, I have, but my father very much enjoys golf, so...
Yeah, but that's my point.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I have that one family member who kind of follows the huntsman. So are the Grimm not that big of a threat then? Well, then why is Atlas ramping its military up so much if it's supposed to be, combating the Grimm? And then on top of that, then Rooster Teeth goes and does the big dumb, as I'm going to call it, when it comes to Salem. So originally you had the Grimm. It's like, okay, so they're a mindless horde. They just constantly spawn, but it's okay, because as long as we're behind walls and we manage the unhappiness of the people to a certain degree, we won't be overrun by Grimm because there's nothing controlling them. And then they go, okay, actually, there's someone controlling the Grimm. It's like, okay, so is she, like, controlling the Grimm, or is it more like a sort of, I can make new Grimm, the Grimm don't attack me, and I'm working behind the scenes to cause events that would make the Grimm go to places that I want them to go. And then they're like, oh no, it's both. And it's like, oh, okay, so she can control the Grimm directly, but she also relies on humans who are fallible to cause events to cause the Grimm to go places?
Yeah,
And then it gets worse. So then you may be like, okay, this is narrative shit that's actually important when you're writing a big bad of a story. It's like, okay, so she can control the Grimm, but the reason why she relies on people is because she is vulnerable to dying. So she obviously wants to keep herself protected, so she uses pawns to make the Grimm go to places once she can no longer control them. Like, they're too far out, she can't directly control them anymore, so she uses people to make the Grimm go to the places where she wants. But then Rooster Teeth goes, oh no, actually, she's immortal, she literally can't be killed, she's tried to chop her head off, she's cut her own heart out, she's cut her lungs out, she's bisected herself, just regenerates from everything, she literally can't die. It's like, okay, but then...
Tried all that stuff.
Then why is she holed up in a castle? If she literally can't die, she doesn't age, she doesn't get sick, wounds don't matter to her, literally the pool of reality deletion doesn't kill her, then why is she holed up in a castle as far away from possible as human civilizations, even though her end goal was to destroy human civilization? She could just go up to the human civilization, she could just walk up to the walls of Vale and be like, be yeet by my Grimm army, and then the Grimm army just overruns all of Vale and Vale's just gone.
Well, see, the thing is, Rooster Teeth had a really, really good out. They could have been like, oh, she's afraid of Ozpin, and made Ozpin like this super, like, eldritch entity that controls time itself, like everyone thought he was. And they're like, nope, he's just a human that happens to, yeet his soul every time he dies and takes over someone else.
Farcical reincarnation.
Well, I mean, it's not even that. Like, they could have just stuck with, he's a human, he's a human from the same era as Salem, and in his possession is an artifact, the only thing from that era that is capable of killing her. And that's why she doesn't go out.
His cane is capable of sealing away even a being as omnipotent
it
as
doesn't even matter what it is. It could be the cane, it could be the clock tower, maybe it's a giant ritual site. It doesn't matter. Maybe he needs line of sight on her to use it. Maybe he needs to know where she is and she needs to stay there for something. Like, it doesn't matter. It could just be literally anything that could bypass whatever defense she has, and that's why she doesn't come out, even though she's immortal. There is just so much that you need to balance when you're making a big bad, and Rooster Teeth decided to just not do any of it. She's immortal, she can control the Grimm, but for some reason she holds herself away and uses people as pawns, but the pawns always fail and get beaten by teenage girls, because this is fucking Power Rangers now.
Yeah, I talked about how I considered rewriting Ruby myself.
Yeah.
Oh, we've all talked about
it.
The biggest reason I'm not taking a step towards that?
Salem?
I don't know what the fuck the big bads want. I don't know what Cinder wants. I don't know what Hazel wants. Well, okay, sorry. I know what Hazel wants. Hazel wants Ozpin dead permanently.
That's actually really nice. A nice.
I don't know what Watts wants aside from some kind of vengeance against Atlas. I think
Watts just wants vengeance against Atlas because they kicked him out after he did unethical experiments and got caught.
And Tyrion's just crazy.
Tyrion's just crazy. He wants the world to burn. Cinder just wants power, because power. I'm a horny bitch for power. Power. even though I'm fucking retarded because everything I fucking do is dumbass shit that gets me fucking killed.
But the problem with that is that, like, it seemed like she had a plan when Monty was still around, and then we lost him, and suddenly her motivation is purely power when it felt like she was in for something bigger while working under Salem. And Salem, I don't know what the fuck Salem wants. I don't know if she wants the world to burn or she just wants Ozpin's world to burn.
I think the issue with Salem is, and this might just be because I'm a Naruto writer, but I feel like they were like, oh shit, Kaguya is cool. Let's make a Kaguya.
Well, no, I think the issue is
you're not wrong because Monty did say he did take direct inspiration from a lot of popular manga. So yes, you're not wrong.
We literally have it on record. Hey guys, here's a list of anime and manga. Get to work. This is your homework before you start writing Ruby with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he looked at Kaguya and was like, Kaguya's really cool, she's all powerful, but she also didn't come in until the very end. She was held back. But then there was no seal. There was no seal for Salem.
No, but look, even ignoring that, look, as far as what Salem wants, as far as we can tell, she tried the whole being good, and they tried helping humanity out. They had kids, and then for some reason, Salem went completely insane and was like, oh, we should kill everyone so we can rebuild magic. And then Ozpin was like, no, we're not going to do that. And then Salem thinks that he killed the kids. So now Salem wants to murder him and end everything he cares about.
Yeah,
Salem
being similar to Kaguya might be purely Miles and Carey, because Monty died before he would have been able to implement Salem like that. Like, no, he clearly had Salem planned, because when Salem gets her reveal at the end of Volume 3, and we find out, oh, that voice had a character, that voice was back in Volume 1 having an argument with Ozpin at the opening narration.
Yeah,
like everything.
I think one of the reasons
Volumes 1 to 3, once you get Volume 3, a lot of things start making sense in Volume 2 that would just seem like really cool narration things. They're like, oh no, these are conversations between the villain and the hero of old.
Yeah, I think one of the big reasons I always have this analogy of Salem and Kaguya is that one of my friends, I think, made one of the best criticisms of Ruby's narrative with a Naruto analogy.
Okay.
All right.
Team Ruby hadn't even taken care of Orochimaru before Kaguya appeared, with Cinder being Orochimaru.
Alright, that's fair. Yeah,
actually, that's not a bad comparison for relative power scaling.
And so the thought of Salem as Kaguya is always stuck in my head because of that, because it's like, yeah, no, that's actually really good.
Although,
they're even in like Volume 3, they're even in the equivalent of the Chunin exams.
Yeah.
And so it really doesn't make sense narrative-wise to have that large of a power jump. Because then you're entering super grim dark territory where the heroes can't win.
Honestly, I think the best way to handle Salem and fucking yeet these relics of fucking bullshittery is, instead of relics of bullshit, you have you pull a little from Full Metal Alchemist, you pull a little from the Jedi Temple, and you pull a little from Naruto. In that Salem is sealed away. And that's why the Grimm are so mindless right now. That's why that's why humanity has been able to push the tide back against the Grimm. Like, you can have this sort of, like, trope twist where the story is that humans found dust, and that's why they were able to turn the tide against the Grimm. But in reality, behind the scenes, there was Ozpin managing to set this, giant fucking worldwide bullshit magic thing up, because he has magic, remember, and he manages to seal Salem away, and that makes the Grimm basically nothing more than mindless beasts again, which allows humanity.
Which is why they're attracted to emotion as opposed to any kind of thinking stimuli, because that she made them to be Salem's full of negative emotions or something, and that part of her her immortal
Whatever,
self bled
yeah.
over into her creatures or whatever, so they're attractive to negative
You-
emotions.
that part doesn't really matter. The part here that matters is that Salem is sealed away, and instead of the relics, you could have the 4 temples of the ancient era that slowly over time turned into sort of like how the monks started training militarily at the temples, and then in the modern era they're now academies. And these 4 temples, as long as they remain standing, keep the seal strong on Salem. And that's why, Watts and Cinder and Tyrion and Hazel and, whatever other bad guys you want to invent, that's why they're attacking these cities and attacking specifically these academies. Because they want to,
I mean, hell, you could even make it so that you could even keep the 4 relics and just say the 4 relics are in fact
the problem
the
is with the
seals.
relics. No. See, the problem is with the relics is there's literally no purpose to them.
But that's what I'm saying. You can give them a purpose.
No,
Just
you're not
make
understanding.
them the seals.
They are Deus Ex Machinas that don't need to exist.
Okay, but Sneaky, what's more like an entire building is a seal or a very specific magic item?
That's why I'm
That
saying.
the building has been placed
Building.
over.
Yeah, the building is there to guard
That's
the
why
seal.
I'm saying you pull a little bit from Full Metal Alchemist. It's not just the building; it's the position of
it's
the
the
building.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah,
with
yeah.
like intersection of ley
Yeah.
lines.
yeah, basically.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of basic rewrites you could do with Ruby that would improve a shit ton of things. Like, let's go back to the Salem example. Like, why does she never leave the Grimlands? Well, instead of how do I put it? It might be an interesting reveal of like, oh, well, that's the home that she and Osmond used to have, and she's cursed to not be able to leave like a 10-mile radius of that specific structure to
Right,
begin with.
exactly. Like, you have magic in the world you can do things with. And, like, you can even add caveats as to an explanation as to why they're even going after the maidens in the first place. Because the whole maiden thing's dumb as shit, and people have pointed it out in fanfiction before. It's like, so you gave away all your power to these 4 girls who are randomly chosen / semi-not randomly chosen, because maybe if they're thinking of their killer upon their death, it might transfer to them if they fit this specific criteria. It's just like, it's super silly and dumb, and doesn't really make sense in the context of the overall, humanity versus Grimm, and then the puppet masters behind humanity and Grimm being Osmond and Salem. Like, it doesn't make sense, the maidens thing. But, and then the maidens thing got...
Like, the only way you could explain that away is, let's say it was Osmond's 3rd reincarnation.
And this is what I'm saying, Max. So,
Yeah.
if you really want the maidens to be there, if you really want there to be some sort of, like, twist to how magic works in the Ruby world, like, there always needs to be a exception or a rule to how the magic operates. Like, whenever Crow and Raven turn into birds, no one's allowed to see them, so everyone blanks and etc. whenever they try this. That sort of thing.
Like,
and so the rule for him making so much, so these fucking massive ley line buildings basically connecting together magically or whatever to seal Salem away, there has to be an equally strong weakness to balance, to equivalent exchange. Yeah. And so that weakness is going to be the maiden, a key to the building.
Mm-hmm.
So yes,
which they've already done with the vaults.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, though. Is you can still like keep all that. You can keep like these hidden rooms and the vaults and the bunkers and all that shit, and like you can add these rules to magic to make it an actual magic system. Instead of I don't know, Deus Ex Machina. I guess maidens can open the vaults, and the vaults are, for some reason, randomly holding the relics in them, but in alternative dimensions because portals or something.
Anyway, it's 8:20.
Yeah. But
Ruby is stupid. There's a lot that could be done to fix it. Miles and Carrie won't, because they're terrible writers who definitely need to go back to writing school. and they need to not have the dumb idea of, oh, someone's guessed our plot, we should change an entire portion of our season to subvert expectations.
Also, everyone's gay now because reasons.
No, look, forget that. That's just stupid woke bullshit. But like, literally, the thing that made me lose any respect for them as writers is someone guessed our plot. We changed our entire plot so that they would no longer be like. Look, it doesn't matter how good a writer you are, and these are not good writers for the record. It doesn't matter how amazing your story is. Someone somewhere is always going to be able to perfectly guess your plot.
Well, no, that's not true, because if you don't drop any hints, because a good writer actually does drop hints. They subtly, like, go, hey, this is a little bit off.
Okay,
Wink, nod.
You're right. Let me rephrase that. Assuming that you're even a halfway decent writer, you will set things up in advance. So assuming your story isn't a completely disjointed pile of bullshit, which is what I clearly not what I was
should
talking
be guessing
about.
your plot. That doesn't. But
Yes.
what I'm saying though is people should be guessing your plot, and
Yes.
it's both a sign of a shit author and a good author that people can guess your plot, because either your plot's so shit that it's predictable, or you did such a good job at stringing the hints along that people go, wait a second, and then you can then turn that on their head, like you always plan to turn it on your head, like you drop these hints to mislead people on purpose. Not, I'm going to poorly write out a plot, and then when people guess my shit plot because it's predictable, then I'm going to change everything because fuck you. That's what they did.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Anyway, now that I've gotten that off my chest, good night, everybody. Thank you for staying as long as you all did. And we'll see you all next time, which is a Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time to 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Tell people about this podcast. The more people that talk, the less we have to read fan fiction. Wink, wink, nod, nod. And I'll see you next time, because there's always more and it always gets worse.